Hello everyone and welcome back to Little Quilter. Today we're continuing work on the Meander quilt, and as you can see I've already been organizing out all of the pieces that go with this part of the quilt. So basically we're doing 4 at a time half square triangles here, and I've got all of those sort of situated out. I've now gone through and sewn all of the initial part, so we've just done this first part, so I've got to go through, cut all of these, and then add on the next step in this 4 at a time half square triangle. So there's a number of them. I wouldn't say it's the most things I've ever done, but you know, it is taking me a moment to get through all of these. That's a lot of half square triangles done all at once, which is pretty cool if this comes out right. And I will say, if you are doing half square triangles and you have not used this piecing tape, it basically looks like washi tape with, so the red line being where your needle would go, and then you have a 1/4 inch on either side to match up. Amazing. I can't recommend this enough, so that you don't have to go through. Basically that saves you the step of marking this line down the center, and instead what you do is you'll take your piece when it's laying out, put your little pieces on there, and then you could line it up on this part here, and as you sew, right, you follow along that line, because this line is obviously longer, pulled out and running down your sewing machine, and that helps you keep this line straight and also helps you to keep it a 1/4 inch away. And it's just perfect for doing this. It works out really, really well and just makes things so much faster when you're working with this. So if you haven't tried this, definitely take a look at it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this. This is the Meander quilt, and we're gonna go on with the next step. Okay, you guys, I definitely messed up in the introduction, and honestly didn't even realize it until I was at this point. Whenever I am not doing half square triangles, I already did that part, and that was this part right here. But I was going through and I was finishing cutting these, and I was cutting what's going to be my flying geese. And I definitely got to this part and I was like, this is not a half square triangle. And then I was like, oh my gosh, have I done this wrong? And so then I definitely started reading through this thing like crazy and looking at the sizes of things, and you know, I have everything all stacked up on my desk here, and so I haven't really labeled things. So I guess that is the importance of what I learned in this one, is at least labeling it. I always label the things, the fabric piles, whenever I do Elizabeth Hartman quilts, because she has so many. I mean, I feel like you've gotten to double Z's before in Elizabeth Hartman quilts, but in this quilt, there were just not that many piles, and so I didn't label them and was just kind of going back and measuring them. And then I sometimes, whenever I'm doing this, I will kind of like check off where I've done a part, you know, so that I can keep up with, yep, check, I did that part, let's move on to the next one. And I, again, didn't do that this time, and boy, I almost had a heart attack. I was like, I have really messed this quilt up. Like, I'm just gonna have to make a new quilt design with this. But I didn't mess up. and we are making flying geese, which I love making flying geese. And I've made him this way a million times over. In my head, I was still making half square triangles. And I mean, it wasn't like it was that many half square triangles that I should just lose my mind over it, but apparently I did. So now I'm going to lose my mind making flying geese. And we are doing these the 4 at a time method too. So I mean, maybe that's part of it, is that they're all 4 at a time. So we're doing 4 at a time flying geese, and I'm cutting them down, and then I'm going to be able to to iron quite a few of them so that we have these beautiful blocks right here. And I think once this is done, that we're pretty much like going to make a center block and then kind of just start putting that block together, which is really cool. I mean, I say it's coming together fast. It's taking me a while just because I haven't had as much quilting time lately, but it is coming together relatively fast. Okay, let me get back into it since my quilting time is limited. Okay, so we finally got all of the flying geese, and they were flying geese, not the half square triangles. So we did get the half square triangles done, and we also now have all the flying geese done. And part of what took me so long was I actually broke my other rotary cutter, so I had to get a new one. Which this one is way larger. This is a way bigger one. I think it's supposed to cut more fabric, which is great, although for squaring up a little over excessive. But isn't it so nice to have a new blade on your rotary cutter? Such a luxury that you kind of forget about as you use it, because changing the blades is always kind of a pain. Okay, everybody, we are making progress here on the star blocks, and these have come together way faster than I thought they would. So this set, I have already pieced together one side that'll be folded over, and then I've got this side here to go. And really, I've only got a few more left to go over here that need to have both sides done. And then we'll have the main center block done, and we can kind of build off of it almost like log cabin style, but I don't think it's that complicated, and it's really come together really well. Now, the one thing, when I started kind of laying out the flying geese, I was kind of trying to follow this somewhat, and then some of them are just really hard to tell exactly what they are. My plan had been to try and match them up, and as I was going, I was like, I really don't know what those are. Like, okay, so 2 light ones, that's what I'm looking at, or 2 really dark ones. So then, whenever I went to sit down and do these blocks, the star blocks, what I realized is whatever you choose for those initial color pieces, that's basically your blocks. Those are your color piece choices done. I think there's going to be one other part. So this sort of solid color here around the star block here, we get to choose those colors, so I again can kind of look to see a similar sort of grayscale pattern almost of what they did to kind of match tones. But there were some that I wasn't sure, and so I kind of went off script a little bit. And that's okay. I think it's going to look great. Every block that I have done so far, I have been very, very happy with. But just as a heads up, there wasn't really any sort of more piecing at that point or figuring out what's going to go together because it's pretty much just put together. So now all I've got to do is finish up piecing these blocks together, and then we'll be ready to iron them open and set out our brand new blocks that are going to be so beautiful. So let's get to it. All right, you guys, I have done it. All of the star blocks are assembled and beautiful. I always like making star blocks. I feel like they're very rewarding, you know? There's not a ton of work in this, but what a cool print. And I actually love all of these patterns. I really like, oh, well, isn't that funny? Definitely did that one upside down, didn't I? Okay, well, not gonna fix that one. Like I always said that they all came together and then immediately had a mess up. Let's just make sure the other ones are good. So, yep. And I didn't even, I thought that one looked weird when I ironed it, but it really just didn't even cross my mind why it looked so weird. That's hilarious. Okay, we have this fabric. I really like the fabric colors here. These sort of bold choices of orange and blue. They're very nice complementary colors. I don't know that I would always choose colors like this, and I like to pick patterns sometimes that kind of stretch what I would kind of think of doing, just to sort of put it out there and see what you like. I think trying different stuff is really nicely. And that's pretty cool, having that plaid star with that dark blue background. I don't know that I would have routinely chosen that. And then we've got more of the plaid on orange. I really love the cute little foxes. I'm glad that I got to get a couple of these guys running through their hole. I guess you could get enough fabric that you could like fussy cut it so you get more of them. Look at this cute guy. Oh my gosh, he's so adorable, just peeking through there. And look, it's an actual star block that's not messed up. And then we've got the horses. I did have a hard time cutting up these horses. I felt like, just like half bodies floating in there. It was a little rough there. The foxes have turned out really cute. I think the horses are just so big. They don't really fit on, so you just end up with like horse booties, which is a little, I'm not going to say off-putting because it's still a really beautiful block, but it's certainly a better pattern when it's all together. That one's a fun little block. I like the stars with this little fun confetti background. That's pretty nice. Another one. Now that is a bold one right there. Don't you think? That's pretty darn bold. All right, and the last block here. Well, we only had one mess up block to fix, so I'm going to say that's not too shabby. It kind of looks like an envelope, actually. You could do like an envelope one if you did if you made a star block, but then did like a little triangle one through here. Not exactly sure how you would sew that. Surely to goodness, maybe you could do I know how you would do that, silly me. You just do another flying geese, and you could do like a flying geese this way with the same pattern down here, and it would be like a little envelope. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cute for Valentine's Day. I know that just happened, but that would be a really cute little block. Just a whole bunch of little these, and then if you embroidered, you could put this on the embroidery and embroider a little heart on each of them. Oh my gosh, that would be cute. Maybe that's a goal to do. I'll have to pick out some fabric to do, maybe not laundry basket fabrics, but that'd be cool. I'll have to look and see if there's a quilt like that out there, because that's a pretty cool idea, and I think something that would be pretty easy to do. You could make the block a little bit bigger too, so that you don't have like 1,000 of these to do on one quilt. It's a pretty nifty idea. I'm sure somebody's already done it, but pretty cool. See, that just led us to like this little mess up led me to another idea. So sometimes that's how it rolls. Okay, guys, I am going to go ahead and finish for tonight after I fix this mess up. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and listen to me go on about this quilt. This is the Meander Quilt by Moda, the Moda Fabrics, and Meander by Annalie Hoey is the quilt designer and everything. I am super excited to keep working on this block, and I think the next one should be a pretty good one because I think we can finish the block next time and have all of the big blocks done and ready to go. I am only a little bit nervous, and I may have miscounted, so I probably should go through and count these, but I have 2 leftover squares, so I'm hoping that I'm not miscounting some blocks. I hope not. That would be rough, wouldn't it? So let's cross our fingers on that, and as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you next time, and have a great day. Thanks.